Welcome to the Depressy podcast.
I'm Missy.
And I'm Allie.
And we're sisters
in the mental health field.
Talking about all things stressy
and depressy.
Before we get started, we wanted to do our usual disclaimer that although we are training to be a clinical psychologist and a psychiatrist, do not take this as professional medical or mental health information.
No.
We are sharing tidbits from what we've learned in our life, but this does not replace the advice of a licensed medical professional or someone that you yourself have met or told your specific situation.
Guys, I just finished our website. It's ready to go live.
Yes, it's what
we liked it.
Letting you all in on a little secret, which is that we're filming a lot of these in advance. So
I feel like they know.
They might know. They probably know. Oh, it's saying trying to reconnect. Okay, hopefully that all worked.
Okay, that was take 10. We had a lot of issues, but we're ready to get started today.
Yes.
What are we doing today, Missy?
Well, first, we got to do our stressy depressy.
No, but what are we doing today, actually? We're going to the beach.
Oh, we're going to the beach!
Obviously.
I'm all dressed for the beach.
I told everyone, I was up at 6.
Yeah, Allie...
I couldn't fall back asleep. I was so excited to go to the beach.
Normally, I'm the type A one who's, rushing everyone out of the house. And in this case, we've had a role reversal.
When it comes to beach, nothing else matters. I will get up at any time. I will do anything to make beach work.
Normally, Allie's the person who's snoozing 10 alarms one after another.
This morning I was ring, ring, get up.
I know. And then Allie was immediately after filming, we're leaving. We're leaving after filming.
I went at 7 a.m., got us, everything's packed up, ready to go.
So I'm in my beach attire.
But here's the thing, I was in my beach attire. I have my swim trunks. My swim bottoms on.
Your swimsuit?
No, I only have my bottoms on.
Okay.
Because I felt like it would be weird. And then I was wearing my beach outfit before. Mm-hmm. It was also an all white outfit, so it wouldn't have worked no matter what. But it also just looked it wasn't the vibe on camera. Okay. So I switched to a business casual look, which listeners will know that is not usually my vibe in general, but I do like this outfit, and
I like that outfit on you.
I don't have to wear nice pants, although I did just get kind of nicer business casual pants at Target. Nicer meaning they look nicer on me. They were cheap, but
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. That was my date night.
Yes.
Because Lucas, my fiance, is in Pittsburgh visiting family, and I was I'm gonna take myself out on a date. Guess where I went? I started at Target, went to TJ Maxx, went to Home Goods, finished out the night at Michael's.
Wow, it's beautiful.
And it was so much fun.
Should we launch into stressy depressy?
Yeah, I don't know if I should go first because I have a lot.
Okay, so should I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Well, I think my new answer for stressy depressy is that we came to Philly yesterday to see Paul Simon. My husband and I, we are in the middle of a move. We're literally moving in 2 days, but I got him these Paul Simon tickets for his birthday. He's a huge fan of Paul Simon. We drove all the way down here from New York area, and when we got here, we learned that the concert was canceled. Which, is obviously sad. I think he's having some physical health problems. He might need to get a surgery, which is I hope he's okay, first and foremost. Second most, obviously a little stressy depressy that we were very excited about seeing him. He's in his 80s. And so we are thinking unclear if we will be able to see him perform. So
I'm going to be real. I don't know who Paul Simon is.
You do. Simon and Garfunkel,
I've heard of that.
Mrs. Robinson.
Oh, I know that song.
Sound of Silence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know that was him.
Yeah.
Okay. I forget. I was going to say something else too, but I would say my main stressy depressy this week is that it's better now, but I am all broken out in acne here.
Yes.
Do you know what happened? Listeners, watchers,
tell the people.
Readers. My eczema is very bad. And you might say, what's eczema? It is neck eczema. It is the only place, although I got eczema right here, right now.
Which is where, for the listeners listening,
On the neck.
No, you just said right here on your nose.
Oh, on my nose. Yeah. I got it like where my glasses are touching my nose. Oh, that was my other stressy depressy.
Oh my god, yeah, you have a few different things come up this week.
So the main one I would say is it's so hot in Philly right now and in a lot of the East Coast, maybe everywhere, I don't know. And so I'm wanting to wear like cute outfits, even to work. Like I kind of had like a sweater over it, but I had like just like straps. And it was like a dress that just had like spaghetti straps. No bueno when you're broken out all over your shoulder. I was freaking out because I don't really get body acne and it was so bad. I was like, is it infected? Like, because it's right over my eczema. Friends might remember that I also had some neck acne during my proposal that spontaneously went away.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, I had this bump right here.
I remember.
It was kind of like skin colored. Yeah. It was like under the skin.
Yep.
But there were 2 bumps.
Yeah.
That went away right before my proposal.
So what did you learn was actually the cause of the
so
acne?
I learned because I was like, what the heck? How is it dry and oily at the same time? Like, could not make sense. I'm scratching it right now. Okay. I went to the dermatologist. I made an urgent appointment. I was like, my eczema is terrible. Okay. So they told me it's from this steroid cream.
That you're using for
I'm using for the eczema. I didn't use it for more than 2 weeks. You're only supposed to use it for 2 weeks. I probably used it for like whatever 1 minus 2 for 13 days instead of full 14 days. Okay, just to be on the safe side. But it's steroid-induced acne. And I was like, aren't you going to give me something? I didn't say that, but I'm like, give me something because it's so hot out. I don't want to be like wearing like little like nun outfits. And they were like, no, it's just gonna go away once you stop using it. It did kind of go away, but it's still there. Okay, my second one is that I can't see.
Allie went to the eye doctor this past week only to learn what?
That my eyes are really bad. So previously I just needed 1 pair of glasses. I do have to wear glasses all the time. I'm not wearing them now because it's just not the vibe. And I'm kind of, I don't know, I feel like
You've worn them in previous episodes.
Have I worn them? Yeah. Like, whatever. I don't really need to see right now. But it was so bad while I was studying for step 2, which I took step 2. Is this my first step?
Yeah, it is, I think. It's your anti-stressy depressy.
My anti-stressy depressy is I took step 2. Woo!
Which is your big exam.
Yeah, my big exam. But my eyes were hurting so bad while studying. And people were like, what does that mean? It hurt to move, which is honestly kind of concerning. I was like, do I have optic neuritis? No. My eyes hurt so bad. I would get these like migraines, but like bad headaches when I was studying, which whatever. I knew even if I went to the eye doctor like 2 weeks before, the glasses were not going to be ready in time for the exam. So I was like, let me just power through. I was putting ice packs on my eyes, like having to do these eye exercises just to get through. During the exam, I took my breaks, ice pack eyes. I'm just like sitting there.
How did you have ice packs during the exam?
I brought it in my little lunch bag and I put ice packs over it and it stayed pretty cool.
Wow.
Honestly, hot tip. Cold tip. Anyway, yeah, so then I went to the eye doctor and my worries were confirmed that I need both distance and reading glasses.
In a much stronger prescription.
I need negative and positive at the same time. And everyone's like, oh, are you going to get transition, bifocals, whatever. Yeah. Progressives. That's what it's called. Yeah. No, I'm not going to do that. I don't know why. I just don't feel like it. I feel like I would rather like just whip out my cute reading glasses and then wear my normal glasses.
Yeah.
And other times I can still pretty much read like with the distance glasses. Like I can go on my phone, like do stuff like that. And I'll just wear the other ones for when. I don't want to be going like this to read.
I feel like though with your 2 glasses.
This is how Dad reads. He's like, it's not that bad.
Well, okay, for people who can't see what Allie's doing because you're listening to us.
She's tilting my head
up and sort of glancing down.
All the way down. I'm not ready for that light.
Yeah. The thing is, though, I'm picturing you with, like, the 2 pairs of glasses. like
on at the same time?
No, like I feel like, for example, like I know people who have two pairs of glasses. I'm picturing like people in our parents' generation mostly.
Oh, and one's
who
around
have
their
like
neck?
or yeah, and they're like just putting their one pair of distance glasses a little higher, and then they're like using their reading glasses like sort of peeking through them below.
No.
And
I do feel like I have pretty discrete times of what I'm like reading on the computer and just vibing.
yeah, no, that makes sense. If you're right. Yeah.
But she said that my glasses right now are pretty much not even like correcting my vision. So I'm like, what's the point?
Fair enough.
It definitely is better with the glasses, but it's like almost negligible. So I'm like,
I am the oldest in our family, and everyone in our family has glasses for distance and reading. Like every single person
that's
has.
not true. Mom only has.
No, she has reading and distance.
She only has reading.
No, she has distance. She drives with glasses. She has two pairs. So I am just waiting for the day. I'm like,
But she's pretty good eyes.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, somehow I feel like you and Alex, our brother, who are both younger than me,
But his eyes are not that bad either.
I guess. But our parents didn't really need glasses until
I'm special.
they were older. And yeah, so I'm more like both of them, I guess. But at this point, everyone has both reading and distance.
That's not true. Alex doesn't.
I think he has distance.
I know for a fact he doesn't. He has one pair.
Why does he wear them all the time?
Because he thinks he looks cool in it.
Okay, we'll fact check this. But anyway, I'm somehow skating through life. I only have like very mild reading glasses at this point.
What's it like to just look at things?
Yeah, I actually have pretty good distance vision. At this point, it's a little lower than 2020, but like they were like, we would never prescribe glasses for this level of like, it's basically
Who was
perfect.
they?
The eye doctor.
The eye doctor I go to.
Yeah, and
That's our cousin.
our cousin is our eye doctor. But yeah, I think Jacob should maybe go, because I'll be reading like a sign, not like a big sign as we're driving, but more like, okay, like down there I see that parking sign says no parking or something. Jacob will be like, you can read that? Like he's shocked that I can like I have pretty good far vision.
I feel like for most things I can like kind of make them out, but
yeah.
it's straightful. Anyway, that's my stressy depressy for the week. But overall, my anti-stressy depressy is that I finished step 2. I thought I was going to be more relaxed. If you remember, I was like, post step 2, Allie is going to be so relaxed. And I think I just didn't realize like how busy I still would be.
Yeah, how like you fill the time.
Yeah, you're only as busy, or it's like I don't know, you like fill up the amount of time no matter what.
Yeah, your stress like grows to the level that, no, I totally feel that.
No, yeah, because I'm not even really stressed about the results. Like, I feel like I did fine. If I didn't, whatever, like, can't be bothered to care at this point. Like, that's so in the past. But I'm like still getting to work at 9, leaving between 5 and 6:15 because we do like DBT sessions, sometimes late. Yeah. And then I'm going to the gym, I'm shaking my head in sadness because that's just what I have to do to be healthy and have my cholesterol be okay. Rats. And then I'm not home until like 7, and then it's dinner, and then I'm tired.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, how was I fitting in studying before? It was because like on every single break during the day, I was studying. Like it was like lunchtime, like I was studying.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be so great to like not study, and it is. But it's also like, it's not like amazing. Like it's not like, wow.
But I feel like the fact that today we can just be like, kind of, oh, it's nice out, let's go to the beach.
No, you're right. That's true. That's true. I'm not like having to take a practice exam. No, that's true. I also feel like, I don't remember what I was going to say.
Okay, it's been a while. We should probably get into our main segment.
It's my favorite topic.
Allie has been begging me to do this episode from the get-go, and I said we gotta ease him in slowly, let him get to know us before we hit him with the mental health information. What is our topic today, Allie?
Radical acceptance.
What is radical acceptance?
To me, it's like, well, I don't want to just say like accepting the outcome preemptively, But it's like, no, a lot of times you're in situations where you either can't predict or are unable to control whether or not there's going to be like a positive or negative outcome, or you're just in a situation that's sucky.
Yeah.
And I feel like this CBT way or like some other ways to deal with it is to try to like look on the bright side. Like,
sure.
Or convince yourself that it's very unlikely that something negative will happen.
Yeah.
Or that the situation you're in is actually like okay, or how do you fix the situation you're in?
Yeah.
Instead of like just being like, this is the situation I'm in, and I'm accepting that.
When you say the CBT way, what is CBT again for our listeners?
I'm gonna punt that to you.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
I know what it stands for.
Okay.
I just feel like she's like the actual therapist.
When Allie says that, listeners who have been with us from episode 1 may remember that CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is a big umbrella that kind of encompasses all treatments that are like backed in evidence or research. But there's like sort of a more traditional CBT approach that is to kind of like when you have a negative thought or you predict something negative is going to happen, to kind of like look on the bright side, basically reframe that into something more positive. But newer forms of CBT, including, wait for it, DBT, which is where radical acceptance comes from.
Yes.
DBTs, you don't have to memorize this, but DBT stands for Dialectical Behavior Therapy for anyone who's interested. There's a concept that it's a little bit nuanced, because when we say accept, a lot of people think that means that you have to like endorse or like or be like happy with the outcome or the situation.
Like,
but that's not it.
Right? I feel like another thing that people get confused in is that, oh, if you accept the outcome, then like you're not going to try to like change it.
Right. And we can get into this, that really when I think about radical acceptance, I often define it as telling the truth to yourself about what's happening. So, for example, right, you might have a situation where, I don't know, I'm like thinking about like adolescents when I'm working with teenagers. They may have a situation where they have like a friend who's treating them badly, like, you know, saying mean things to them, you know, making jokes about them behind their back, spreading rumors, whatever. And this teen might really be kind of lying to themselves and being like, well, but they're a good friend. Like, sometimes they do this. It's not that bad. A lot of teenagers do this. A lot of other people in school do this. Radical acceptance in this case would be kind of telling the truth to yourself. Like, wow, that is not good friendship.
Can you grab your phone?
Yeah.
You have to unplug it. Okay, I took a picture in the DBT workbook of radical acceptance that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Well, just to kind of like wrap this example up, right? Accepting in this case for this teen doesn't mean, okay, I guess my friends are treating me badly, like, and I'll just have to, you know, be okay with that. No, radical acceptance might be, wow, I'm telling the truth to myself about the situation so that I can change who I'm friends with. Right?
Okay,
go ahead.
I'm going to say my spiel.
Yeah.
And then I'll get to what I have. Okay, I feel like as an anxious girl, you're not going to convince me that the bad thing's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You probably could if you spent a long, long time, but that is so much work.
Yeah.
Instead, reframing it as like, okay, what if the bad thing happens? Like, what if you fail your exam? What if you don't match? What if whatever? And working to just be okay with that.
Yeah.
Being like, if I get to my exam today and it's really hard and I do bad, that's okay. Yeah. And that's like really hard. And you'd be like, but it's not okay because X, Y, and Z, But the reality is, you still have your health, you still have your family. Like, just like reminding myself that I genuinely, like, it's not that deep. Like, I can accept the outcome of what is kind of like a minor thing in the grand scheme of life is very helpful. Because from there, I am much less anxious at approaching studying or approaching whatever scary thing that I'm worried about, because I'm like, I am strong enough to handle whatever the outcome is. And so with that, then I can kind of be like, well, and the outcome is probably not going to happen. Once it doesn't seem as scary, I can be more logical and be like, then I can start reframing my thoughts. But until I kind of like face that fear, it's not going to happen for me.
Yeah. I sometimes use the metaphor of like a tug of war. And when you're anxious about something, you often are in a tug of war with that thing. You're like, no, I can't fail my exam because I have to, like, that would ruin my life. And, yada, yada, yada. And, the exam pulls back with its scary anxiety and you're pulling so hard. Radical acceptance is almost like dropping the rope and knowing, okay, whatever's on that other side of that rope could come my way. It very well may. But if you think about a tug of war, right? You're like, imagine yourself right now. Imagine yourself in a tug of war. You're pulling on the rope as hard as you possibly can, and you're strong. You're holding your own. What are your feet doing right now? What would you say?
They're firmly planted.
They're firmly planted. So if it's like studying's actually over there. Like, you're like, well, my feet are glued to the floor. I actually can't.
Yeah.
Like, or anything else, actually, frankly, like any other part of your life. Once you drop the rope, you're actually freeing yourself up to do the things that you'd want to do. You're kind of letting yourself out of that like paralysis.
Yeah. It truly is just like I'm like, I have a pro tip. Don't be anxious. I don't know
stuff and done, people, but
how to explain it other than like really sitting with yourself and being like, I will be okay. Like convincing yourself and fully accepting whatever is going to be the outcome. And that's not that you're going to be happy about it, but it's going to be like, you're going to be okay. Yeah. You're going to get through it. It's not that deep. I will say like what I'm talking about right now is like exams, like that's literally all I can think about. But like, let's say like applications, jobs, whatever. These, in the grand scheme of things, are not like that big of a deal. Like, I think it becomes harder when you're dealing with some like really bad stuff or things that are really like taking a toll on your life. Like true suffering, like people that live in chronic pain or people that are dealing with grief. Like, I think that can feel very invalidating to just be like, you have to radically accept.
But I will say that is where I think sometimes this skill can be misinterpreted, because this is when I've been in trainings around this concept. This is a common question. People are like, okay, I have patients who are dealing with poverty, who are dealing with like really serious medical conditions, you name it. And how am I supposed to tell them to just quote unquote accept this? And that's where I think people interpret it as I have to endorse it. I have to just say, be okay with it. And that's not it at all.
Yeah.
Actually, when we say, and in some ways that's why I don't like love this term acceptance, because we use it kind of differently in our everyday life. I think what we really mean is to actually name it and be like, yeah, of course that takes a huge toll on your life. And we're not going to pretend that doesn't exist.
I like radical acceptance in turn.
Yeah, I guess, but that's where I'm saying sometimes it's actually about telling the truth about what's happening. Because yeah, I've had patients who've had any of those things I just named, right? Like they're experiencing poverty. They themselves have really serious medical conditions. I actually had a professor who was like really DBT trained, and she had cancer, and she was talking about how for her, she was like, okay, I could stick my head in the sand and not do anything about this and just pretend it doesn't exist. Or I could, quote unquote, accept my diagnosis, meaning tell the truth about it and go through treatment and do what I need to do to keep going.
Yeah.
I
guess for me, it is acceptance, because it isn't just naming it. It's like accepting that you're not going to be able to necessarily change something, and this is reality.
Yeah.
Because naming is just like, oh, this is a thing, I can still fight it.
Right. Well, and it depends on the thing. Sometimes you can, right, make the change, and sometimes you can't. I think sometimes maybe where the confusion comes, though, is when people do assume that you mean we should just like quote unquote endorse that thing.
Anyway, so I have this, and this was like some hard reads. Okay, why accept reality? This is from the DBT handbook. Rejecting reality does not change reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like whether or not you say like, okay, this is my life, let me deal with it as it is. Like I'm strong enough to get through this, or this is just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Or you're sitting there being like, this sucks, I hate this, like, just living in misery forever. Like, the situation hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Changing reality requires first accepting reality.
Yeah.
Pain can't be avoided. This says it's nature's way of signaling that something is wrong. I think that I don't fully agree with.
I think it depends on the pain. Obviously, there's some pain that, like,
chronic pain,
or like, sort of like, if you're living in poverty or something like that, it's like not that, you know.
But a part of it is accepting that it's okay to not feel pain too. Like, for example, I know that sometimes people feeling grief, and I know I've experienced this, like, if you're less sad about this or crying less, it means that the thing is less real. And so I think somehow accepting the situation is part of being like, it's okay to not feel pain about this right now. Mm-hmm. Or like to move through it and process it. Like, it actually doesn't invalidate the experience at all.
To be fully honest about the reality right now, whether it maps onto what it's like supposed to look like, quote unquote.
But I guess also just like, I think I remember you said when my friend died, like, oh, one day you're going to think about this and it's going to be easier. And I remember thinking, I don't want it to be easier.
Yeah.
Because that means that it affected me less, or that means that it wasn't as meaningful, like our friendship wasn't as deep. It's not that I feel less pain, but I think allowing myself to, I fully have not accepted this, but allowing myself to accept that it's okay to move through the grieving process and like feel a little less pain. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does to me.
Like, if you don't accept it, you might feel like you have to be in pain for this experience to be valid. Like, there's a lot of things in life that cause suffering. Like, oh my God, if I fail my test, it's going to be terrible. And like, maybe there will be bad outcomes, but it's actually okay if you don't feel terrible, even if the situation is bad.
Right.
I don't know. That's kind of the way I think about this. Okay. Refusing reality turns pain into suffering.
Unpack that for us.
Okay. Again, you can sit there and just, if you're not willing to accept that this is the way it is, life is unfair. It sounds so like harsh, but it's just the reality. Everyone is dealt very different hands. And sometimes you just have to accept where you're at and stop wrestling with the idea of like, why did this happen to me? This is so unfair. If I did this or this or this wouldn't have happened. Instead of just being like, okay, I'm dealing with the pain. I'm going to move through this. I can accept where I am, and I have a goal of where I want to go through this and like a plan to make it through. I'm not just going to like sit here in my feelings and feel this pain forever, because then your life is suffering.
And again, it's not to say that like the pain that you're initially feeling isn't real, or that your situation isn't more difficult maybe than others. What I often describe to people is, we can think about like layers of suffering. And when a difficult thing happens or you're dealt a bad hand in life, that of course is a layer of suffering. That is a layer of suffering, though, that we cannot control, unfortunately. It's very real, and some people have more of those initial layers of difficult things happening to them than others. Others may not have as many initial layers of suffering. When we are like in that tug of war that I was just describing, we are actually adding on more layers to that suffering. When we say to ourselves, like, over and over and over, like, why me? This sucks. This isn't fair. Like, I wish this didn't happen. I wish this didn't happen. When it's something we can't control, yes, we have that initial layer that we can't control, but we're adding more and more layers on top of it. And so the part that we can control are those higher up layers, where we can say, okay, like, again, that initial layer I'm naming, that sucks. Like, that's really hard, and we can cope with that. But what we can do is, once we move forward, we're bypassing those extra layers, essentially. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense, because it's not to invalidate that you might feel pain. It's to say that you don't need to feel this pain forever. Like, you can actually work.
that initial event, again, if it's something that's out of your control, absolutely maybe giving you a ton of suffering. Again, it's those extra layers that we actually build upon it.
Yeah, like you have to keep going. Like, yeah. Okay. Refusing to accept reality can keep you stuck in unhappiness, bitterness, anger, sadness, shame, or other painful emotions. Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we were talking about. Yeah.
Acceptance may lead to sadness, but deep calmness usually follows.
It's so true. I think often people feel like the minute I, sort of accept that this thing is real or that this thing happened to me or that this might happen, there's, again, it's that whatever's on that other side of that tug of war is probably not so great. It's probably kind of scary. But often what people find when they drop that rope is, that scary thing might come to you a little bit, but again, now you're free to move around. There's so much else that you have access to now. Mm-hmm. All the other positive experiences that you now have access to move through it. And in most cases, whatever is that on that other side of the rope that you were so scared of is not going to be there for as long as you maybe thought. It's not going to be maybe as scary as you thought. Even if it is, again, all those things, you additionally have access to the positive pieces now that you can move around. So at least it's kind of balanced out.
No, yeah, 100%. I feel like it's like, I'm trying to think. Like, there are some things that are just truly shitty that happen, but not focusing on the, like, why me, honestly, part of it.
Exactly.
Or, like, how this is so terrible. Like, just getting so worked up into the, like, it's unfair. Why did this happen? This shouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. And really just focusing on, okay, this happened.
Exactly.
What am I going to do about it? And I can get through this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. This is the last one. This is the one that I was like, ooh, this is deep. Okay.
Okay. Wait, make sure you're reading to the microphone, by the way.
The path out of hell is through misery, but refusing to accept the misery that is part of climbing out of hell, you fall back into hell.
Ooh. Want to break that down?
Okay. I almost think about this sometimes as like, let's say you do have like a bad relationship and you're not accepting that it is really bad. Whether you're like, why me? This is terrible, whatever. And you're like stuck on like why, like not being able to get out, like you're like paralyzed. Let's say whether it's a friend or a partner that's being shitty to you. If you don't accept that those things are true, kind of what you were saying, like you're going to fall right back into that same pattern. Or you're going to fall right back into the things that were making you miserable.
And it's another, I think, important point is, especially when it comes to getting out of relationships, I think, sometimes leaving, that might feel initially harder than staying because it's what, staying is what you're used to. The leaving might lead to backlash, difficult emotions, all of that. But the idea is the climb is worth it. If you're climbing out of there, it might be really arduous and harder than just kind of sitting and staying where you are. But once you're out, better things will come.
And it's kind of like what we were saying, where it's like radically accepting doesn't mean you just sit there and take the situation. Because if you accept that your friend's not being a good friend to you or your partner is not good, if you accept that, like, that is the truth. I'm not going to try to, like, play mental games of like
sugarcoat it.
This isn't the case because XYZ, actually they are okay because XYZ, I think I'm the problem. Like if you can accept that, you're set up to make changes in your life. Like you're accepting and I can get through this.
Exactly.
It's like that next part that comes after accepting.
Yeah. Again, I think often quote unquote acceptance is actually confused with sticking your head in the sand. Yeah. To be like, I guess this is just how it is and there's no point in changing it, right? Sometimes that's the case where there's really something you don't have control over or maybe you decide it's not as bad as you really once thought. But for some things where you actually finally name, wow, this is really not good. This is something that this doesn't align with my values, whatever it might be. And there are changes you can make. It actually sets you up to be motivated to say, wait a minute, if it's truly this bad and I have the power to do something, why not do that thing?
Yeah. What are some things that you've had to radically accept?
Well, I felt this was a good segue from our last episode because listeners who listened to our last episode essentially heard me go on and on about how I live in the New York area, I'm moving to New York, and I feel I'm not like super into style or fashion, and I sometimes feel out of place and kind of socially anxious around all these people who are like peak trendy where I live. I think that's something I've had to work to radically accept. And listeners who heard us last week will know it's a continual journey. But to sort of accept, like, okay, in my case, I think it's not something that requires that much action. It's more a case of sort of dropping that rope in tug of war and living my life. That I don't need to let it be something that, yeah, kind of takes up all my strength and energy. That, okay, it's okay. Like, other people are going to sometimes be presenting more fashionable than I am. I may not have quite the sense of style of everyone who lives around me, and I can cope with that. I'm okay.
Wow, Missy, you are so brave.
Yeah, no, this is, again, if you heard us last week, I said, tiniest violin ever, okay? I'm just trying to be real. And of course, there's been harder things I've had to radically accept in my life, but I did want to tie it back for listeners. That's for sure something.
Yeah, I do. I think it's hard because we're telling people this radically accept or radical acceptance framework. And I feel like a lot of the examples we're listing is like, okay, like again, it might be easy for you to say this because
your thing's not that
your
hard.
thing's not that hard. But here's what I would say, like start small. Like,
yeah,
I sometimes, let's say you're like running late and you're the whole way in the car freaking out, thinking about every single thing you could have done differently to go late or to not be late or what's going to happen when you're there. It's going to be so bad. Instead of just being like, kind of reframing that in your brain to be like, I am late.
Yeah.
I am late.
And it's not that I'm necessarily okay with it or
I wish I weren't late.
Exactly. But like, this is
not the worst
reality.
thing.
I cannot go back in time.
Yeah, this is not the worst thing that's ever going to happen to me. I can deal with this. I'm strong enough to deal with this. It's going to be okay. I can
100%.
accept this situation. I'm not going to sit the rest of the time in this car, right, being so worked up. This is just life. Life throws you. My car was towed. That was an exercise of radical acceptance for me. This is just the price of living. You get your car towed. It sucks, but...
Right. And that's an example that required you to do something about it, right? So
yes.
What would an example of not radically accepting that have been?
I feel like, honestly, I would have done the same thing of like driving right there because I was very upset. But the whole way I would have been so worked up. Probably wouldn't have been able to get any more work done that day. I would have been like super stressing about like
exactly
in the future, every single like, oh my gosh, I can't spend money on this because of the like just getting so worked up when the reality is life is not that serious. You can just accept the outcome.
What did it look like when you radically accepted?
I was just like, honestly, it's just a little bit of gratitude that realizing a lot of things that allowed me to be okay in that situation. I think, again, like being like, I can handle this. Handle this because we have savings. We usually don't pay for parking, so we have stuff. We also like have food on the table. Like just realizing that it really was not that bad. Like,
so it almost sounds like for you, because I know you were kind of bashing the like reframing in the positive light when we first got it. But I'm asking you, like, what it looked like to radically accept. I feel like in a lot of these examples you've mentioned.
Yeah, again, though, I feel like the way that I really think about radical acceptance coming in, though, is about, like, future predicting. Because I feel like a lot of CBT would be like, how many exams have you failed? It's like, none? Well, why would you fail this exam? I'm like, I have my reasons. I can tell you a million reasons why I'm going to fail this exam. And you're not going to be able to convince me otherwise.
Sure.
Is kind of where my, like, I am not able to reframe in that moment. And so I just need to accept. And if I fail, I'm going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. Like, I will retake it. I'm not going into super competitive specialty. Like, whatever you need to do to be okay with the outcome of an unknown thing. I mean, for me, it's like a lot of like, I don't know where I'm going to do residency.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a match system. Like, and it's competitive. And I have
So with a match system, what happens?
So you basically like rank your places that you want to go after you get interviews, hopefully. And the places you interview rank you. And there's some algorithm. And you have to go where
you get matched to one site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you obviously have control of where you apply, but it's still very competitive. So you're applying to 20, 30, 40, up to like 8, like very competitive specialties, above 50 locations. It's going to be some places that are less where you don't want to go. And so I can't control that. Yeah. So I'm just like, people are like, where do you want to go? I'm like, I mean, I have my preferences, but I'm just like, I know I will land on my feet.
An open mind.
I'm just like accepting that this is the reality I'm in. I'm not able to change the match system. If I were, I would. Not able to though, so I just need to accept that this is.
Yeah. Still, I think there's a nuance though, where some people might assume, okay, like for example, with that, someone who misunderstands radical acceptance might say, okay, so now you're not even gonna like try if you just truly don't care where you end up. You're just gonna like go somewhere bad and kind of just resign yourself.
I'm trying a little less. No, it's the real. I'm not driving myself crazy.
Well, is it that you're trying a little bit less, or you're like not working yourself up as much to sort of do all these things that in reality might not even really?
I feel like if I were so worked up, stressed, I would be doing everything in my power to make sure I'm landing in the place that I want. Honestly, I don't have that strong of a pull to any specific place. Like, I have preferences again, but it's not like, oh my God, I need to be in this place or else. And so a little bit like, for example, I haven't been successful in getting away rotations. I'm not going to go apply to a million, waste money. Like, when I know the outcome is probably going to be the same, maybe I would get one. Maybe that would help me match in an area.
Yeah.
But I can't drive myself crazy. Like,
well, I also think the flip side though is that it's not like you're just like not trying at all. Like, you're still currently doing an internship, right, to kind of get more training and improve your chances. So it's not like you're like fully resigning yourself. It may actually lead to you sort of like reevaluating your priorities and saying, okay, I still want some quality of life. I don't want this thing to be fully driving my bus right now of life. Like, I want other things to sometimes take the wheel.
Also, when you realize that a bad outcome isn't as bad as you think it is, when you do that work in your brain, you can jump ship easier. Like, when you're in a bad situation.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, I feel like there's times where I'm like, if I were truly in a bad residency where the culture was bad, like, I'm leaving. And that is crazy to say. I'd actually have to be pretty bad to like sacrifice that. But I think sometimes when a situation or quote failure seems so bad that you couldn't even accept that reality, or it seems even worse than a very bad reality you're in, you can't make moves in your life.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in a relationship that's toxic, but feeling like a failure, or you can't accept that leaving would actually be okay, like, you're never going to be able to leave. You're going to just stay in a bad situation. Like, yeah, I just feel like there's been situations where I'm like, oh, I actually don't like it here, or I actually was wrong, or I actually whatever. Like, you're not stuck in the situation you're in.
I think part of radical acceptance, again, it seems counterintuitive when you say acceptance, but I think part of it is actually being able to be real about what your agency could be in a situation.
Yes, that's such a good way to put it. Because it's like, yeah, you have agency to control what you're going to do moving forward in your life. You can't control what already happened. And you can't sometimes control what will happen. You just have to put yourself in the best situation / just kind of live your life.
Well, I also think it comes down to sometimes when we're really, really, really worried about an outcome, we're kind of in that tug of war, right? We find ourselves trying to control things that we actually cannot control. Like we almost convince ourselves that like sort of like by worrying about the thing more in our heads or by like struggling, again, that metaphorical, by being in that tug of war and not letting go, we somehow make it such that it's like less likely. So like we tell ourselves, oh, the more I worry about matching to residency, more like I'm almost like controlling the fact in a way that, and obviously you don't really believe this, but it's sort of this fallacy that we fall into that, oh my gosh, I have to continue worrying and like I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop doing every little tiny thing that may or may not help because I need to control this. And obviously there's things that you can do to control. Like you can, be generally studying in med school, try to be getting different experiences. But at a certain point, you've done 80% or more of what you can do. And maybe you can continue to strive for that extra up to 100%. But at a certain point, it's going to start to be like very small returns on these big things you might try to be doing.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not giving 100% to control where I'm going to be going to residency.
Right. Or even 110. Like some people like
90%.
Yeah.
Because I want that 10% for me.
Yeah. And that 90% is going to be good enough to get you into somewhere good. It may not be
fingers crossed
perfect and everything it's just like I think though, even people who are doing that 110% sometimes still don't have their perfect outcome.
So true.
Right.
And then they just like suffered more.
Right. It's that extra layers of suffering we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's kind of what I was talking about before too, with like being okay. There's like another layer of like, you don't need to be in pain for things to be valid. Like, you don't need to feel so stressed out or worried. That is not affecting whether or not you get some outcome. Like, yeah, or like feeling pain about a situation that happened doesn't make it more valid or less valid.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to start distancing yourself or start accepting the reality. Like, I don't know. I feel like we're giving out like a lot of examples. Like in my brain, there is two different things where like you're accepting that you can't control something in the future or you're accepting the condition that you're in right now.
But I think both are examples of where radical acceptance can be applied, right?
I would say I use it mostly for like things I can't control in the future.
Yeah.
Well,
it may be something that I think I'm kind of this way too, that it has always been implicitly a little bit easier for me to sort of radically accept things that have already happened versus worrying about the future has been something that's been a little bit harder for me. I've had to like much more actively learn, okay, how do I apply radical acceptance to something I'm worried might happen? Some people, I think, struggle more with the latter. Not to say I never struggle with the first one, or the former, that like, I'm not someone as much who dwells on the past. If something has happened, again, not to say it's not very upsetting if something difficult happens, but I'll be like, okay, that is the reality. That is what happened. I'm not as much someone who like kind of has like a ton of regret or says like, why me a ton? And I feel like you're more that way too.
Yeah.
Again, not to say that there's no struggle involved, but I think both of us, when it comes to like future predicting, have a harder time with this.
No, I completely agree. I would say the biggest things that are hard are like grief stuff. But yeah. That sucks. I don't think I've radically accepted that. But I think I've moved more into feeling like, oh, it's okay if I have, separating out like the actual reality that emotion doesn't equal meaning.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic I think we can get into at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
Our like emotions, they give us information about a situation, but often we sort of like fuse that with sort of like cold hard facts. Like, okay, if I'm in both directions, right? We might say to ourselves, if I'm not extremely worked up about this exam, it means that I'm like not going to do well, or it's not that bad, it's not that difficult. On the other hand, we might flip that and kind of make something bigger in our heads than it actually is. We might say, oh, if I am like this embarrassed by this situation, if I'm embarrassed out of 10 out of 10, that must mean that objectively what I did was like super embarrassing and bad, right? when it may be that we're feeling very embarrassed, but actually we didn't do something that was that bad. No one else noticed, right? And so we, again, it's not that emotions are just like not helpful. They give us helpful info, but it's one part of the puzzle.
Yeah. I guess another thing I use radical acceptance with, I'm trying to think, is like social situations. With medical school, I'm constantly meeting new teams. I mean, it's like every couple weeks, sometimes every week during third year, you're on a new rotation with a new set of people, residents, fellows, other med students, attendings, teams that you're consulting on. And they're writing your evals. They're writing your letters of rec, like whatever it is. So you want them to immediately like you.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like you're doing everything in your power to be like the most pleasant, happy person. It is so tiring. And so I kind of had to accept, I almost said in my head, like, this is so, I don't even know. It's okay if I'm a slow burn. Like, is what I say in my head. It's like my little mantra. It's okay if they don't love you immediately. You can just be consistently nice. And then you can't control whether or not people like you at the end of the day. Like, you're going to do your best. You don't have to be stressed about...
Don't be stressy.
Don't be stressy. I mean, of course, I was a little stressy, but it's like, what else do they need from me? Like, I am...
Yeah. Again, it goes back to what you can control and what you cannot control.
And then I'm probably even a better person to be around. If I'm not like... Oh,
it's like
God,
that full circle.
Was it okay that I asked this thing? Was it okay that I took a little longer for lunch? Like, if you're not thinking about those things, that's taking up less of your brain space, it's actually sometimes easier to reach your goals.
I think it gets at where radical acceptance can be helpful is probably when you've already done so many of the things that are in your control. If someone has like, needs more help, like getting motivated to care about an exam, like this may not be the skill for you right now. But if you're someone who, like, I remember when I was in high school, this is now looking back, I'm like, it was so small potatoes. But like, I was so stressed about taking tests in high school to the point where I would literally have like meltdowns in advance of tests. And I would actually like give myself less study time because I was so anxious. And I remember talking to my dad and him being like, what's going on? And I sort of expressed like, I feel like if I don't work myself, if I'm not anxious, then I won't care. And then how do I possibly do well on a test if I don't care this much? And he sort of just said to me like, you're going to have to find another way to motivate yourself to study, or you can go to that 90%, like, yeah, care. Don't stop caring entirely. It doesn't have to be black and white, right? Care up to 90%. And then at that point, you just have to realize that you're doing what you can, and okay, it may or may not go perfectly from there, but these meltdowns, they're not helping anything. In fact, they may be hurting if you're giving yourself less time, right?
You know what I'm thinking of? Our aunt used to tell us, because I was scared of shots as a girl, but she would say to her kids, I remember her telling me this, that they would play pretend. Like, let's pretend we're people that aren't scared. Like, wouldn't that be so silly? Like, if we went to the doctor's office and we were like, what would we do if we were like so confident, like we pretended we liked getting shots? Like, it's all pretend, wink, wink. But what would we do? We would be like smiling in the waiting room, like, they would play that game, and then my aunt was like, and it actually works. Like, it's not like you're actually happy about getting a shot, but you are like, oh, it actually wasn't that bad, and then you're not wasting all that time in the waiting room as a kid being like, I don't want a shot, like freaking out. So what I'm saying is, it's okay to gaslight yourself a little bit.
Well, again, it goes to the fact that, like, that initial layer of suffering, getting the shot in this case, or like taking the exam, whatever it is, that's gonna suck. Like, that's something we cannot change, but what we can change are those other layers that we add to ourselves. So all that time in the waiting room that you're upset, you can get that time back. You can get that suffering back. Like, you don't have to endure that. That part, you actually do have more control over.
Yeah. Gaslight yourself. No. If I'm actually giving you real advice right now. If you're really like, what are these two people talking about? Just pretend for like a hot second that you are okay with the situation and be like, what would I do if I were okay with this situation? Like,
I think it depends on the situation, of course.
No, it does. But like, it's okay to be a little gaslighty, and it actually does work.
And this is where I think it's a tough needle to thread. I think we'll probably continue to talk about things like this in future episodes. If you guys want, obviously, let us know if this is at all interesting to you, because we can continue to break it down. I think it's super, super nuanced, because I think a huge part of radical acceptance is actually the validation part, to actually name what's real, to be like, wow, and someone's treating me badly, for example. Like, I'm just gonna like name that and realize, wait, that sucks. Like, I've been enduring this bad treatment, right?
Okay, don't gaslight yourself. Like
tough medical diagnosis. I'm not just gonna pretend that doesn't suck, right? And then I'm gonna move past it. Again, the nuance, though, is we're not like wallowing. We're not adding a million other layers of suffering onto that. We want to be like honest about that first layer of suffering, the thing that happened, or it might happen, that's not great. But after that is where we can control. So maybe that's what you're getting at.
Okay, here's the other thing. Like, for example, I feel like I gaslighted myself when I had to do a week of nights.
Night shift. I
was like, I'm going to gaslight myself. Isn't this amazing that I get this opportunity to help deliver babies? Like, that is so cool.
Well, that gets at the reframing that you were so against.
It's not reframing. It's just being like, I will be okay.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I am grateful for this situation. There are a lot of things that suck about I will be tired, but actually it's not as bad. Like, I can accept this.
I think it's also maybe another nuance, you could tell me what you think, is that, again, you're not like ignoring the bad parts, but you're also reminding yourself of the genuine good parts.
Yes.
It's not to deny
those. You're not going to be tired. You're not going to whatever. But what you are saying is there's actually some positives, and I can get through this.
Right.
Or maybe there's no positives, but you can get through this. Because actually, maybe I'll do this to make it better. Like,
yeah. Or focusing on if there really are no positives that you can identify, which fair enough in many cases, like, to focus on where you do have any agency to
bring a blanket,
the situation. Like, literally anything. Again, it's not to say that you're going to make it good, right? Not to say getting a really tough diagnosis or something like that is, oh, now it's just going to be good now. No, not at all. But that there truly are always things that you can do that, again, they don't cancel out the bad. They don't remove it, but they allow you to pare down those man-made levels of suffering.
How do you suffer less is how I view radical acceptance.
I think that's the whole premise, basically, of DBT, Dialectical Behavior Therapy, is suffering is it's a price of being alive. It is the price of being human. But how can we reduce any layers of suffering that are in our control? And paradoxically, part of that is being real about things we can't change.
Yeah, I feel like it's, with a lot of things with DBT, you can take and leave what you want.
Yeah.
So you might be listening to this and being like, I cannot do that, or it doesn't make sense to me, and that's okay. It's something that's helped me a lot.
100%. So if you guys are interested, obviously let us know, because there's so many other parts of DBT. It is not all about just accepting these difficult things. That is a very, very small part of it. So we can also give you info on other stuff that you might want to apply. If that's interesting, let us know.
Okay. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to the Depressy podcast.
I'm Missy.
And I'm Allie.
And we're sisters.
What's the next one?
In the mental health field.
Oh, in the mental health field.
We have so many outtakes of us doing this. Okay, go ahead. Welcome to the Depressy podcast.
Welcome to the Depressy podcast.
I'm Missy.
And I'm Allie.
And we're sisters. Okay, one more time.